A drifter arrives in a small town, hopeful to reunite with his old war buddy. This drifter is John Rambo, a decorated Green Beret who served in the Vietnam War. Longing to see his old teammate, John tracks down his wife, asking for her husband, Barry, only to hear he's not around. Maybe the woman is a bit skeptical of his rugged appearance, so he shows her a letter he received from Barry, as well as a photo of them together.
What time will he be back?
He wonders what time Barry will be back, only to learn that Barry has passed away after being exposed to a substance called Agent Orange back in Vietnam. The news hits him hard, but all he can muster is an apology before leaving.
Very sorry.
Left without a purpose, John continues his journey until he arrives in Hope. Hope is a quiet town, but it is run by a power-hungry sheriff, William Teasel, along with his team of corrupt deputies, and John's entrance to the town begins the sharp decline in the events of this film. John encounters Teasel just as he enters the town.
Headed north or south?
And from his appearance, Teasel immediately suspects he's a drifter. John explains he's just passing through, he doesn't want any trouble, but Teasel cannot just let him be, and insists on giving him a ride through and out of town.
I'll make sure you head in the right direction, huh?
John was hoping to get something to eat, but Teasel suggests a diner miles out of town. He doesn't like drifters in his quiet town, as the residents pay him to keep people like him out.
Why are you pushing me?
We don't want guys like you in this town.
Teasel drops him off at the edge of town, suggesting he take a bath and clean himself up if he wants people to treat him better.
Have a nice day, huh?
Feeling disrespected, John starts heading back into town, but Teasel spots him and pulls a U-turn.
Let me see some ID.
Things escalate when Teasel demands that John surrender for a search, even resting his hand on his firearm for no reason. So John just complies to avoid an escalation. Teasel finds his massive knife and doesn't believe John's story about using it for hunting, so he ends up taking John back to the station, charging him with vagrancy, resisting arrest, and carrying a concealed weapon.
What do you hide? Elephant?
Deputy Sergeant Arthur Galt and Deputy Mitch Rogers lead John to be processed, and this is where the real depravity of these cops can be seen. First, John refuses to give his name.
Hey, if you're looking for trouble.
And when he instinctively stops Mitch from grabbing his tags,
Hey.
Galt threatens to strike him with the baton. John eventually backs down, and they see that he is a soldier, but Galt doesn't care. He feels insulted that John doesn't respond to him, promising he will get him talking, while prodding him with the baton. Next, they struggle to fingerprint John, who is rightly resisting as he did nothing wrong, so Galt threatens to break his arm.
Down, goddammit!
Teasel insists that he will get charged and face the judge in the morning, threatening to make this real hard on him if he continues defying them. He orders his deputies to clean John up to be jailed. Teasel leaves Galt, Mitch and Deputy Ward to get the job done, but here the cops further their abuse of the war veteran. First, Galt brutally strikes him with the baton, then the cops all stand by watching and laughing as another deputy blasts John with a fire hose. Only Mitch walks away, as he doesn't have the stomach for their brutality. John endures, but what really pushes him over the limit is when the deputies bring out some items intended on shaving John. Galt doesn't give him a chance to comply and immediately restrains him around the neck with the baton. Ward prepares the blade, but just seeing it brings back dark memories to John, who finally decides to fight back.
That's better. See.
He breaks free, easily beating down the three deputies. John then fights his way out of the station, only managing to grab his blade on his way out. In the street, he steals a motorcycle and begins racing towards the woods. Teasel quickly catches up in the squad car, and a high-speed chase then ensues through the streets. John manages to stay ahead and exit the city limits, but Teasel insists on catching him and stays on his tail despite rough terrain. John manages to lose him, and he has the chance to let him go, but instead calls for backup and races to catch up. Teasel's persistence ends up causing the patrol car to overturn. John ends up also losing his bike, but continues up the mountain on foot, as Teasel calls out to him telling him he's finished.
You're finished!
John gets to the top where it's freezing cold, so he makes a makeshift shirt out of nearby trash. Soon the other deputies arrive at the base of the mountain, so Teasel orders them to call in the dogs and a chopper, as there's no way he will let John escape him. Now a fugitive, John continues pushing up the hill, but the deputies have already returned with their dogs and are quickly closing in on him. John's lead is quickly cut short when he comes upon a cliff, but the cops are so close he can see them, so left without a choice, he decides to climb down the face of the cliff. Unfortunately, the chopper arrives as he is in the middle of his climb, and riding on it with a rifle is Galt. He has orders to just track John, but seeing his chance to get his revenge for earlier, he starts shooting. Even the pilot protests, but Galt threatens to kill him if he doesn't steady the chopper, clearly consumed by vengeance. Galt ignores the radio calls from Teasel and continues trying to hit John, and just before he can line up a good shot, John does the unthinkable and lets go. Luckily his fall is broken by trees, though he's left severely injured. He has no time to rest, and is forced to take cover behind a tree as Galt continues shooting at him. In an instant, John throws a rock hitting the chopper's glass. The pilot flinches, and Galt falls from the chopper as a result. The chopper leaves and John goes to check Galt, but he is already dead, so he takes his jacket, radio and rifle, and quickly hides. The cops get there, only to see Galt dead on the rocks. John tends to a wound he received in the fall, and soon from above they spot John step into the clearing with his hands up. He doesn't want to hurt anyone else, but insists he didn't do anything wrong for them to be hunting him. Teasel demands he surrender, but when John starts backing away, the cops open fire, a bullet grazing John on the head. Teasel radios to the deputy at base of the mountain, requesting the chopper. John's background check came in, and they learn that John is a Green Beret Silver Star recipient and a real-life war hero.
Sure picked one hell of a guy to mess around with.
The deputies start to have second thoughts hearing who they're up against.
They're real badasses.
And Mitch even suggests calling in the state police. But Teasel's pride won't let him back down now. He grabs Mitch, showing him Galt's body. Galt was his close friend, and Green Beret or not, he will make John pay, with or without them. Realizing these corrupt cops are trying to eliminate him, John decides to show them what a Green Beret can really do and prepares for war. Teasel regroups with the deputies and begins tracking John once more as a storm closes in. They soon spot a figure in the distance, so they release 2 of the dogs, but soon gunshots ring out, forcing the deputies to dive for cover and return fire, only to realize they're shooting at a decoy. They send in the last dog, only to hear it whimper, then go silent. One of the men has been shot in the leg, so Teasel tells them to apply a tourniquet as he refuses to descend the mountain without John in cuffs or dead. He thinks he has a chance against John now that he is out of ammo, so he and the deputies spread out, their intention to cut John off, completely unaware what they're walking into. Mitch is first to fall when John ambushes and stabs him in the leg. As the other deputies rush to help him, John drops from a tree and breaks Ward's arm. Deputy Crawford spots John and fires, but hits Ward in the arm instead. He rushes over, only to trip a booby trap which impales his legs with stakes. When Teasel heads over to help him, another Deputy Shingleton is snatched from behind him. It's like they walked into a horror movie, and now realize the hunters have become the hunted. Teasel goes searching for Shingleton, only to find him strung up to the trunk of a tree. Before he can get closer, John ambushes him with a blade to his neck.
Don't push it, I'll give you a war you won't believe.
He could have killed him and his deputies, but decided to spare them. But if Teasel doesn't let this go, he'll give them a war they won't believe. John disappears and Teasel collapses in tears. Not long after, though, the entire mountainside is flooded with emergency services, reporters, and state police led by Captain Dave, who joins Teasel in a tent. The news, however, states that John killed Galt and attempted to eliminate the other deputies, a clear attempt to frame him. Deputy Lester tells Teasel he overheard that John was mistreated by Galt and the others, but Teasel denies the claims. He insists his deputies were never out of line, despite the fact he wasn't there. At that moment, John's former commanding officer, Colonel Samuel Trautman, arrives there, the man who recruited trained and commanded him for 3 years. Teasel tells him John is a civilian and his problem now, but Teasel is mistaken. Trautman didn't come to save John, he came to save them. Teasel still tries to save the little pride he has left and denies the help, so Trautman explains who he is dealing with.
I came here to rescue you from him. You're lucky to be breathing. A man who's been trained to ignore pain.
John is an expert in guerrilla warfare, knows how to live off the land, and ignore pain and weather to achieve his mission. Meanwhile, John hunts and kills a wild boar before heading into an abandoned tunnel on the train line. Trautman suggests that the cops allow John to escape to defuse the situation and save his men, but Teasel just cannot let it go. He claims he has a duty to catch criminals, a duty just as important as some special forces soldier. He fails to believe that John can take down everyone coming after him, but realizing Teasel won't listen, Trautman warns him to prepare a lot of body bags. The words seem to hit Teasel hard. He can't be responsible for that many deaths, so he decides to work with Trautman. John finally has the chance to rest and regain his strength, but that quickly ends when a state cop radios to him.
State police calling John Rambo.
John doesn't respond, but the cop knows he's listening and warns that he is surrounded, but they can work things out if he turns himself over to them. Teasel suspects John won't respond, but maybe he'll break radio silence to talk to his colonel. Then they could triangle his position, but Trautman warns him against this. Trautman radios to John.
Covey leader calling Raven. Talk to me, Johnny.
Using his familiar call signs listing his entire company. Trautman hears nothing for a while, but soon John responds telling him his entire team is dead and he is the last one.
They're all gone, sir.
Harry's gone too, sir. I'm the last one, sir.
Trautman apologizes. He offers to come in and fly John out personally, so they can work things out fairly, but John isn't interested. He wouldn't be in this position if that sheriff didn't keep pushing his buttons, and everything he's done is because they drew first blood.
I can't do that, sir. All I wanted was something to eat.
They drew first blood.
John then goes radio silent, ignoring all of Trautman's calls. Teasel doesn't care though. He has John's position and the National Guard with him, so it's just a matter of time. A large National Guard unit soon begins heading in John's direction, passing a raging river, but John is already one step ahead, emerging from the river and heading in the opposite direction. There he runs into a lone hunter carrying a rifle. John quickly takes him down, but realizing it's just a kid, he disarms him and continues on. The kid goes to alert his father, who lets off shots in the air, and this alerts the National Guard to John's position. They soon get eyes on him and begin firing, but John escapes back into the train tunnel. Teasel sends orders that the National Guard should surround the tunnel and hold fire, but on the ground the guards keep firing. John returns fire, forcing them to take cover, but he soon runs out of bullets. The brief exchange has the soldiers shaken, so much they all refuse direct orders to push on the mine.
Let's go to the front of that mine. Screw that, Clinton. Look, I do this part-time. I didn't come here to get killed.
One soldier reminding Lieutenant Morgan that he only does this part-time. Morgan calls out to John, giving him just 3 seconds to come out or a rocket launcher will be coming in. The soldiers still think they should wait, but Morgan reminds them he's in charge and he wants the tunnel blown up. The soldier with the launcher aims and fires, but John escapes the blast by going deeper into the tunnel. Teasel, Dave, and Trautman arrive a while later, only to find the National Guard soldiers celebrating taking out John. Teasel is pissed, but Morgan claims John was shooting at them and he had no choice. Teasel wants the body recovered, giving Morgan and his men the task. Inside the pitch-black tunnel, John manages to get light. Outside, Teasel mocks him, calling him nothing special and just a vagrant after all. Trautman doesn't think he should be proud, as news articles will read that a decorated war hero was killed for vagrancy by small-town sheriff, but Teasel thinks he's just bitter as they didn't take his advice and they still won.
The best man lost.
Inside the tunnel, John makes a torch and finds a small passage at the back of the cave and begins following the narrow entrance. Trautman is having a drink in a bar when Teasel appears there seemingly bothered by something. He apologizes to Trautman for his words earlier. He then confesses that he really wanted John dead after what went down. He thinks Trautman would have done the same thing encountering someone like John, but they think differently. Trautman is a soldier, while Teasel is a civilian. John eventually finds a way out of the tunnel through a ventilation shaft. Nearby, the National Guard is still scanning the area for any signs of him, but John evades them. He spots some military transport trucks passing by, so he jumps onto one, forcing the driver to keep driving. After a while, John pushes him from the truck, but the soldier soon runs into a deputy and reports it.
That Rambo guy is on the loose again.
The report reaches the station, and their quiet afternoon is quickly thrown into chaos once more. A patrol car soon catches up with John's truck. The cops inside start shooting and trying to run him off the road, but John rams their car, forcing them to crash. The cops have set up a roadblock, but it's no use as John blasts right through while evading gunfire. He gets into town and starts his plan of revenge. First, he rams a gas station, causing gas to flow. He then grabs an M60 rifle and ammo from the truck before setting the gas station ablaze, and soon a massive explosion shakes the entire town. Teasel becomes worried and orders the town's civilians to evacuate the streets. As he is grabbing his rifle, Trautman again tries convincing him to give up on his hunt, warning that he will die out there, but Teasel refuses. This is his job in his town, and he won't let John get away.
Because God knows what damage he's prepared to do.
Now this is my job, Trautman.
As the firefighters try to contain the flames, John starts moving through the streets. Teasel is still at the station listening to reports that John cannot be found. He knows he is John's target, the cause of all this mess, so he heads to the roof with his guns to lay wait for John. Any chance he had of an upper hand is then ripped away when John destroys an electrical transformer nearby, sending the entire town into darkness. Using the shadows as cover, he then breaks into a gun store, gathers up all the ammunition inside, then sets it on fire. The rounds going off inside the store draw Teasel's attention, and this distraction works as John soon gets eyes on him on the roof of the police station. With this, John unloads on the station, peppering it with bullets and destroying everything inside. John enters cautiously, and Teasel is waiting for him at the skylight with his gun ready. Teasel spots movement and fires, but John evades and shoots Teasel, causing him to fall through the skylight. John prepares to finish him off when Trautman appears, trying to convince John to stand down. The state police have the place surrounded, but John is prepared to go to war with them. Trautman tells him his mission is over, but John is at his breaking point.
Nothing is over! Nothing!
He gave his entire life fighting the war to save his country, but when he comes back home, people treat him like trash, calling him all kinds of names and wanting to kill him for nothing. He breaks down when he thinks about all the friends he had, the plans they made together when they got out, but he watched them all die by his side one by one, and this has clearly broken John. Trautman watches him with a mix of pity and guilt, as he created the man sitting before him today. He then kneels with John and allows him to cry. A while later, John surrenders and is taken into federal custody. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more recaps just like this. And hey, don't click away just yet. YouTube thinks you'll love one of these two videos popping up right here, so check them out next.